Hey guys, and welcome back to the next reading session. Thank you for joining me today, and we are beginning a new story, The Rose of Dixie. So let's begin. When The Rose of Dixie magazine was started by a stock company in Toms City, Georgia, there was never but one candidate for its chief editorial position in the minds of its owners. Cole Aquila Telfair was the man of the place, by all the rights of learning, family, reputation, all southern traditions. He was its foreordinate, 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 fit, and logical editor. So, a committee of the patriotic Georgia citizens who had subscribed the following fund of 100,000 called upon Colonel Telfair at his residence, Cedar Heights, fearful lest the enterprise and the South should suffer by his possible refusal. The colonel received them in his great library, where he spent most of his days. The library had descended. We we already familiar with this word, right? But I forgot the meaning. The library had descended to him from his father. It contained 10,000 volumes, some of which had been published as late as the year 1861. When the deputation arrived, Colonel Telfair was seated at his massive white pine center table, reading Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy. He arose and shook hands punctiously, punctiously with each member of the committee. If you were familiar with the Rose of Dixie, you will remember the colonel's portrait, which appeared in it from time to time. You could not forget the long, carefully brushed white hair, the hooked, high bridged nose, slightly twisted to the left, the keen eyes under the still black eyebrows, the classic mouth beneath, the dropping white mustache slightly frazzled at the ends. The committee salaciously offered him the position of managing editor, humbly presenting an outline for the field that publication was designed to cover and mentioning a comfortable salary. The colonel's lands were growing poorer, poorer, sorry, growing poorer. The colonel's lands were growing poorer each year and were much cut out by red gullies. Besides, the honor was not one to be refused. In a 40-minute speech of acceptance, Colonel Telfair gave an outline of English literature from Chaucer to Macaulay, refought the Battle of Chancellorswell, and said that, God helping him, he would so conduct the rose of Dixie that its fragrance and beauty would permeate the entire world hurling back, hurling back into the teeth of the northern minions, their belief that no genius or good could exist in the brains and hearts of the people whose property they had destroyed and whose rights they had curtailed. Curtailed. Offices offices for the magazine were par partitionate 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 off and furnished in the second floor on the First National Bank building, and it was for the colonel to cause the rose of Dixie to blossom and flourish, or in to wilt in the balmy to wait in the balmy air of the land of flowers. The staff of assistants and contributors that editor Colonel Telfair drew about him was a peach. It was a whole crate of Georgia peaches. The first assistant editor, Tolliver Lee Fairfax, had had a father killed during Pickett's charge. The second assistant, Kitts and Unthang, was the nephew of one of Morgan's riders. The book reviewer, Jason Rockingham, had been the youngest soldier in the Confederate Army, having appeared on the field of the battle with a sword in the hand and milk bottle in the other. The art editor, Ron Slaves, Roncesvalles, Wallace Skies was the third cousin to a nephew of Jefferson Davis, Miss Lavinia Ter- Terhune, the colonel's stenographer and typewriter had an aunt who had once been kissed by Stonewall Jackson. Tommy Webster, the head office boy, got his job by having recited recited Fa- Father Ryan's poems, complete at the com- commencement commencement exercises commencement of the Toombs City High School. The girls who robbed and addressed the magazines were members of all Southern families and in reduced circumstances. The cashier was a scrub named Hawkins from Ann Arbor, Michigan, who had recommendations and a bond from Guarantee Company filled with the owners. Even Georgia stock companies sometimes realize that it takes life once to bury the dead. Well, sir, if you believe me, the Rose of Dixie blossomed 5 times before anybody heard of it except the people who buy their hogs in and ice in Toombs City. Then Hawkins climbed climbed off his stool and told on them to the stock company. Even in Ann Arbor, he had been used to having his business propositions heard of the least as far away as Detroit. So an advertising manager was engaged. Beauregard Fizzer Banks, a young man in a lavender necktie, whose grandfather had been the exalted high pill sleep of the Ku Klux Klan, in spite of which the Rose of Dixie kept coming out every month, although in every issue it ran photos of either the Taj Mahal or the Luxembourg, Luxembourg Gardens, or Carmen Sira, or La Folletta. A certain number of people voted and subscribed for it. As a boom for it, editor Colonel Telfair ran three different views of Andrew Jackson's old home, the Hermitage, a full-page engraving, engraving of the Second Battle of Manassas, entitled "Lee to the Rear," and a 5,000 word biography of Boyd in the same number. This subscription list that month advanced 118. Also, there were poems in the same issue by Leonia Vashti Haricot, pen name, related to Haricots of Charleston, South Carolina, and Bill Thompson, nephew of one of the stockholders, and an article from a special society correspondent describing a tea party given by the swell Boston and English set, where a lot of tea was spilled overboard by some of the guests masquerading as Indians. Alright, guys, that is enough for today. See you tomorrow on the second part of this beautiful story. So, see you. Bye.